What's up, bros? Welcome to another Brograph Brocast. I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt.
And the Brograph podcast is a podcast that is about motion graphics, animation, the business thereof. Whether you're a contractor or you are working for somebody else, the man. We cover everything, and this is a supplement to our site, Brograph.com, which is a motion graphics tutorial site that we have not updated much recently.
No. The site is a supplement to the Brograph podcast.
Right. Well, that should be changing soon.
Say.
It should be changing soon because I have some stuff in the works for this week.
Oh, yeah.
I've got some ideas. I've got plenty of tutorial ideas that have been sitting there.
Yeah, we'll put it out there, and then R18 will come out, and it'll be like, we got to go back and do it again.
Right.
Or we won't update it.
So last week's show seemed like it was a hit.
Yeah, we hit the highest listeners ever last week, which is amazing.
That's good. And we've got we got a good response on it. Like, people really liked it. It was the longest episode we ever did.
The longest? Was it 3 hours?
It was 3:01.
Oh my gosh.
So long. So we may be a little bit shorter this week.
Uh-huh.
We're in recovery mode from that. And
I know. We put all of our material out there.
Yeah. I had so much trouble posting the show. We were already a day late.
I know, right?
It took me all day on Tuesday almost to get that thing posted. I had so much trouble. Just one thing after another. And some of it was how long it was.
It's Squarespace.
Some of it. The thing is,
Squarespace won't allow you a certain, over 160 megabytes. And so, a really long podcast, 3-hour long podcast is in MP3, low format, is going to be more than 160 megabytes.
Yeah. Well, the other thing about that, too, is whenever you're exporting from Logic, it does this stupid thing that I can't stand, where you have to export the... Okay.
You know what the problem is? You're using Logic. Oh.
No, I like Logic. But the thing about it is, when you export, you can't export an MP3 directly by itself because it says you can't export anything over 2 gig, but it's doing that because it's thinking it's an AIF. So if you go in and you tell it to export a CAF as well, then it's fine. Yeah. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I had to do that. And then something was going on, man. Something was going on with my computer and the internet.
Yeah, Dropbox was being all funky, weird.
It took it forever for even Logic. It took it for, it screwed up in the middle of exporting. I had to do it again. It went again, and then my computer wouldn't boot, and then it booted, and it took forever to normalize the whole episode. It usually takes minutes, and it took 45 minutes. And I didn't know what was going on. And anyway, Dropbox's throughput was just awful. I couldn't even get the files from you guys after we finished the show the other night because of it.
They were big files, though, too.
It would only download at 5 megaseconds. So
it's awful.
With the 3 or 4 gig files you were sending me.
5 megasecond, like a poor person.
I know. It's ridiculous. Anyway, we finally got it posted, which is good. Hopefully we don't have that trouble tonight.
What was really nice is that, normally when we've got short weeks, like 4th of July was one of our lower weeks of the past 6 months or something, just because, everyone was on vacation and stuff like that. And, we posted it. Did we post it on time or did we post it late or something? I don't remember.
I think we recorded early.
Yeah, we recorded early. Anyway, but most people don't listen to it until a couple days later. So our numbers were really low that week. I mean, they were still awesomely high, just not as high as they are now.
Right.
And we posted it late, and we still got a really good amount of listens, which is awesome. So big shout out to you guys. You guys are amazing.
So, okay, let's talk about the week.
Yeah,
this is an interesting story.
Did you catch any SIGGRAPH this week?
I caught some SIGGRAPH this week. I was watching some of it, but I got an emergency phone call from a new client, so I missed the rest of
I forgot about that. Yeah, that was good. That was good for the business, not so good for your sanity.
Or not for my sanity, no. Well, I did catch the first day. I was watching EJ specifically.
Yeah.
Some of the other ones, I kind of tune in and out when that stuff's going on.
Yeah. And you're working too, and working on stuff. I just had it playing on my TV and
me too.
Whatever. you know.
Well, you can go back and catch it.
Yeah, I catched Chad Ashley's was really good. I really liked his.
Oh, I didn't get to see that one. What was it about?
It was he talked about a whole bunch of stuff. You know, anywhere from different stuff in Arnold to the new spread apart effector, you know, or whatever, and a couple other things. I don't really remember. It was good though.
Did he talk Octane at all?
I don't think so. No, there was the only Octane. I noticed that there wasn't a lot of Octane talk, but you know, like I said, I wasn't there I didn't watch all of it. When you and I were at NAB, we were watching all of it, literally sitting down watching all of them, catching all the Octane ones. But there was a bunch of good ones, you know, and it's all the normal players as well. Grayscale, all the Grayscale team and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Cool. I liked what EJ had on the VR stuff. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I like where that stuff is going. I like I like what he had to say. Somebody asked a question at the end about VR and the future of VR and where it's going and what's it going to be used for.
Yeah.
And he's like, everything. He's like, Pokemon, the whole thing, you know, because we had just had that conversation. Or I think it was when you weren't on the show a couple weeks ago. David and I were talking about AR, you know, Pokemon, all that kind of stuff. Like, it's coming. It's, you know, so.
Pokemon. Not happy about it this week.
Why?
They just released an update for it. Okay. So, give you the lowdown. A lot of people aren't too happy with this update. A lot of people were using this thing called Pokevision, which I just found out literally last night, but Pokevision was down for some reason.
The website?
Yeah.
The one that tells you what's nearby?
Tells you, it'll tell you which one is nearby, so you can actually go and catch it, and it gives you a timer so that it'll time out at a certain time, you know, blah, 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 or how long they're going to be there based on their information. So, when Pokemon Go originally got pushed out, you know, it had this awesome feature where it would show you how many steps away you are, you know, from a particular Pokemon. So you'd know, okay, I'm getting closer, I'm getting further away, you know, blah, blah, blah. You didn't have to use one of these Pokevision apps. So then there was a bug with it to where all the steps said 3 steps, no matter how close or far away you were. So it was really impossible to really figure out how close and how far away they were. You know, so Pokevision was there, and they were showing people, oh yeah, blah 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 blah. And it's really good for people who lived out in rural areas because you know you can't find Pokemon that well. And so, Pokemon Go just did an update, and it basically made it to where Pokevision is useless. It doesn't work anymore. You know, and on top of that, they got rid of all the steps, so you have no idea how far away any of the Pokemon are.
Weird.
So basically, in order to encounter a Pokemon, you literally just have to walk around. You can't really tell which direction you're going or whatever.
Know where to go? Not even a direction?
Nope. Doesn't tell you which direction or give you a hint as far as which direction to go.
Do you think they're going to bring it back and maybe they're fixing it?
I'm pretty sure they are.
They're getting backlash?
Oh yeah. Yeah, their rating on this one is like 1.5 stars on iTunes right now.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And like people are deleting the app, and actually if you email iTunes, if you email Apple and tell them they changed a key feature in this and it's no longer, you know, it's no longer worth what I originally paid for it and all the money that I've spent on it, they'll refund you your money.
But it's free.
Yes, but you still have in-app purchases.
Oh.
Yeah, they'll refund all your in-app purchases.
Oh, so if enough people do that, they'll fix it.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's interesting because Nintendo's, you know, stock, it went crazy up when they initially released Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
And then it took a huge dump a little bit later, you know? Because they said, oh, don't expect Pokemon Go to make as much money as you guys think it's going to make.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And there's a lot of imitators coming out.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. My daughter, she's into it now. She's been playing in the car. You know, and trying to get extra Pokeballs and stuff as we're passing stops and stuff like that. And
yeah.
My wife is playing it. My wife is playing it more than anybody, or more than I am, at least. Because even when our daughter's not with us in the car, she's like, oh, I'm going to get her some more Pokeballs.
Yep.
You know, and like I went to get my haircut yesterday, and I'm getting my haircut, and she's there with me because we were stopped in real quick, and I get my haircut. It literally takes me 10 minutes. And I'm out. I get out of the chair. I'm like, where'd she go? She was outside walking around playing Pokemon.
That's funny.
I was like, you're going to get hooked on this. She's like, oh, I'm just doing it for Emily. I'm like, sure you are.
Yeah, I would give, I don't want to drive and play Pokemon, so I handed it over to my wife. I'm like, here, get me. And once she realized how you play it and what it is and blah, 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 and she's now playing it for me. Anytime we hop in the car, I just hand it to her, and she's like excited. And so I realized, you got to catch the Pidgeys and the Rattatats in order to really get your experience up. So I said, I gave her permission to catch all the Pidgeys and Rattatats she wants.
It's funny.
And, and so she'd show, if there's a Pokemon there that has just like a little silhouette or whatever, it doesn't, it's because you've never encountered it before.
Right.
So she'll show me that. She'll be like, who is this one? And I'll be like, oh, that's so-and-so or so-and-so, And she's like, you are horrible with people's names, but you can remember all 150 of these Pokemon.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah. It's a visual thing.
Yeah.
It's a photographic memory thing.
Yep. Anyway.
Yeah, so speaking of Pokemon, PokeRock.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, we got no love in the C4D subreddit.
Really?
On that. Nothing. Here, we posted it, and initially we got 3 or 4 upvotes, right? And then later on that night, I looked back, and we had 0 upvotes.
That's sad.
So people actually downvoted us for posting. I'm like, here is a practical use of Cinema 4D that we actually did, and at this point has 2.1 million views on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody, like, okay,
it's
other people...
it's too popular.
People are like, here's a Pokeball I made. 64 upvotes.
Yeah.
Because they made a Pokeball in Cinema 4D. We post something that we made with The Rock. And it had 2.1 million views at this point. And we're like, look, we use Cinema 4D, and we did this. Check it out. Check this out. Nope, no love.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, thanks.
Cinema 4D people don't like The Rock. Such a shame.
I don't know. I was just like, this is a practical use. Like, I figured everybody would be like, sweet.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know. Weird.
Maybe they didn't like the people, like, who were, the people on the screen. Because, they're kind of annoying.
Well, yeah, but I mean, maybe that's just how gamer videos are.
Because we posted like a mainstream video on a small subreddit.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. You're
People
supposed
are weird.
to post things that you worked on. Like, that's the thing. If you're posting directly, that's one of the rules, right? If you should know this as a mod.
Yes.
If you're posting an outlink like that, like a direct link, and not just a text something, it has to be something you did.
Yeah.
Something you worked on.
Yeah.
So, like, you can't post a link to an article about something. You can post a text discussion thread, and then inside of that, put a link to the article.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, we did everything right. We didn't do anything wrong. It didn't get taken down. But there's a big thing about downvoting in there, too. Like, don't downvote something unless it's really not adding to the conversation and you really feel like it should go away.
Yeah.
Like if somebody's bashing somebody and they shouldn't be doing that, you can downvote them. But like, I don't know. I was like, man, I was really kind of disappointed.
It's whatever,
Yeah, it's whatever. I just thought it was odd.
Yeah.
But
it's all right. We still love the subreddit.
Yeah. The Rock he surpassed the 1 million sub count, which is incredible. And some sort of record amount of time.
Yeah. Not surprising.
You get a gold YouTube button or something when you hit 1 million subs.
That's funny.
So he put out a video about that and thanked everybody. So that's crazy. I hope we get to do more with those guys.
Yeah, that was fun. That was really fun.
So
I like sculpting. I'm going to do more sculpting.
And speaking of games, too.
Games?
Games.
I bought an Xbox.
You bought an Xbox?
Yeah, I bought the new Xbox.
All
I pre-ordered it.
So it's going to be... What day does it come out? The new one, right? What day does that come out?
I think it's...
Like tomorrow or something.
No.
The 4th? August 4th?
No. Dang it.
It's like this week.
It's coming soon. Crap.
Yeah. I had a problem with Xbox Live today, and that's what I was going to bring up.
Oh, really?
I got it worked out.
Oh, August 2nd. That's
Tuesday.
Yeah, but I think mine's coming the 23rd or something.
The 23rd?
Yeah, because I bought it through Amazon. And
I thought you get it right away.
No, it's once it's released. Dang it. Anyway, because I pre-ordered it on Amazon, and I think it's once they get their shipment in or something. I don't really know how that works.
Well, I had to get back into Halo today, kind of get myself going again, because I haven't played in months.
Okay, so I was a little worried, telling my wife that I'm on an Xbox, and I went downstairs. Well, so I was checking our bank account. There was a few charges from stuff that she's bought. A couple of $40 charges. I walked downstairs. I was like, "Hey, what's this?" And she goes, "I'm tired of you looking at the bank account." I said, "Oh, that's okay. I just bought an Xbox." And she goes, "Oh, did you get Halo? I want to play Halo."
Nice.
Yeah.
My daughter was watching me play today. She loves to watch me play. She was actually playing Mario Kart while I was playing Halo.
Did you get a second controller so you can play with her?
Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah, we've been playing. She's really good at it now, actually. But she's watching me play Halo, and she was actually no, she was playing Donkey Kong Country.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've got that one. It's pretty nice.
The original Donkey Kong Country.
Oh, the original.
Yeah, the one from '94.
Yeah, totally.
And so she's been, learning how like the old school video games kind of work, which, like if you screw up enough times, you have to start over, that whole thing,
Yeah.
But you can do image saves and all that stuff now. But so she's sitting there watching me play Halo, and she's like, "Yeah, I think I would be good at this. I want you to teach me how to play this." Like soon enough.
Teach me how to pwn some noobs.
And then, so the Xbox Live problem I had was, I guess my bank sent me a new credit card or a new debit card.
I still need to get mine from you.
I know, it's sitting right here. So they sent me a new debit card, and it had a different number on it, and it expired my membership.
Yeah.
And they didn't tell me. They never sent me anything.
Yeah.
Nor did they send anything to my crappy Hotmail address that I set up just for Xbox.
Yeah.
And so it expired, but it kept, like, they didn't take me off of Xbox Live Gold or whatever for months. And so it just expired out of the blue, because I guess they were continuing to try and charge it, even though I had put a new credit card in for buying other things. And so it comes up, and I try to play Halo, and I go to multiplayer, and it says, "You are not allowed to play multiplayer because of your account setup. Please go to your home screen and check your privileges. Would you like to check your privileges?" Like, as a middle-class white male, I am told to check my privilege almost every day of my life. I do not need
Thank
Xbox.
You, Xbox.
Thank you, Xbox.
That's funny.
And so, so I got that taken care of, and now we're going to have to pwn some noobs together. I'm going to have to teach you how to do this.
Yeah.
Because the graphics in Halo, the new
Hey,
Halo
I got the 4K Xbox.
But you don't have a 4K TV.
No, I'll play it on my CRT TV.
So, anyway, anywho, okay, let me talk about this hotel event that I did this week.
Okay, yeah, let's hear about it.
Because this actually...
Yeah.
Will this tie into some of our Twitter questions that we have?
I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, go ahead and do the Twitter question.
Okay, here's
maybe?
what I'll do. I'm going to hit up Paul Robinson's question from Twitter. He wants to know the best way to manage clients' expectations.
Give them really low expectations.
Right. Start low. Now let's talk about that.
That episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation, with Scotty, when he's helping down in engineering, and Geordi's like, he's telling the captain, "Oh, it'll take about 3 hours," and Geordi's like, "Well," Scotty's like, "Well, how long is it really gonna take?" And he goes, 3 hours. He said, "Oh, yeah, you gotta make yourself look like a miracle worker, you know. Tell them it's gonna take longer, and then you do it."
That's funny. Yeah, it's true. That's man.
I do that in real life.
So much in life. So the whole thing with client expectations is I mean, okay, from a personal standpoint, my client's expectations, well, going in, you want your client to know what they're going to get for the price, I think. And a lot of that comes back to when you're talking about budget. And, you know, we've talked about that before, how it's like a real sensitive thing to bring up budget and whatnot. But when I bring it up, I say, look, we can do anything you want, from doing it really low budget, super cheap, and like just barely getting by. Send them examples. Like it could be like this, or it could be a Hollywood blockbuster movie level. But I don't think you're going to want to pay for the Hollywood blockbuster movie level. I would love that, and I would love to work on it, but I know that you don't want to do that.
Blockbuster movie, straight to video.
Yeah, straight to video. And so that's kind of the first thing, is that your client should kind of have an idea of what you're going to do from the get-go before you even get out there. Because you're going to say, look, send, you know, a lot of times they'll be like, send me an example of what you want it to look like. And they'll send me something. I'll be like, okay, well, I could do that version of what you want to do for this amount of money. And they'll answer me back and be like, okay, that's cool. But what if we did this, this, and this? Or what if we did more? And I'll be like, okay, we can do that. So, you know, from the get-go, you need to manage their expectation by telling them exactly what they're going to get.
Totally.
That's number one. And I don't know. I have to think about that for a minute.
So
think about that.
Tell us about that, your project.
Okay. So I get a call.
Just out of the blue.
Out of the blue. You and I are sitting here on Skype.
Yep.
We're working on a couple side
Quote
things.
unquote working.
Yeah. I mean, we had some little like minor things we were working on, but it wasn't anything, you know, ridiculous. I was still kind of recovering from my pneumonia and such.
I think I'm finally back on normal time.
Yeah, I think that's why I'm excited. That's why I'm excited about August, because you were gone.
I was gone in July.
Before that.
You were gone in June.
Yeah,
right.
I got super sick, the whole thing, and we were kind of trying to get back on track, and you know, the income wasn't exactly where our expectations were for ourselves and whatnot, and somehow we managed, like in the last week, to at least
pull it all together,
it all back together for the month, and we had a good month. And so, like, we're at this point now, like, where August is going to be the month of crush it for us, because number one, here's the good thing, like in this case for us, August, we already have enough business lined up that we hit that goal, and it's not even August 1st.
Yeah.
And so anything that we
had
do,
that last month too.
Well, not exactly the same.
We were booked for a fair amount of time. I just was so awesome that they didn't need to book us anymore for the extra week.
Well, we had the disappointments and stuff like that, but this is a little bit different in this case. We know this stuff is happening, and so the nice part going into August for us is that starting August 1st, we've already hit our goal. So anything that we do between now and the end of August is above and beyond. Yeah. And you and I kind of have a thing that we do together where if we hit a certain dollar amount extra every month, then we bonus ourselves a certain amount of extra money.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of good going in because we're like, we can do this. Like we can really get our own personal bonuses for the month.
Yeah.
And we're going to crush it. We're going to do tutorials on the side. We're going to get all this business. We got meetings. We're going to network. We're going to get new clients in the door because that's a big thing. We need to get some new clients right now.
Might even get a salesperson.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
So we're feeling really good about it. And the thing about last week is we were still in that recovery mode, and I got this call out of the blue. Nice thing about networking, like we talk about sometimes, is that when you've got somebody who's an acquaintance of yours, or someone you've done work with before or whatever, you never know when something like that's going to kick in, where someone says, hey, I need a guy who can do this thing. Do you know anybody? And they're like, yeah, I got you the guy. This is the guy.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. Is I have a friend. We've worked on a couple small things. He has gotten me, like he got me a projection mapping gig years ago, which was cool.
Yeah, that one was awesome.
So I super owe the guy. I'm like, I owe you like 100 lunches at this point. And he had somebody he knew, and here's the thing. Whatever this conference was, there was a whole chain of contractors and companies together, and it was a complete Charlie Foxtrot.
Yeah.
To say the least. And so this guy calls me out of the blue because he heard from my friend that I could help fix the situation he was in.
Basically, now go back to your previous statement. So basically, the company hired this one company who hired another company who hired another company, correct?
So there's a big corporation, and they're doing a big show at a ballroom, in a ballroom at a hotel, in an upscale, like country club hotel. And the whole thing's going on. They hired a company that does streaming stuff who hired a company that takes care of the live streaming stuff. That person hired a guy who does video to take care of the live stream. So already we're so many times removed. And this thing is live streaming to these different locations. And they're using a program called Wirecast, which I'm very familiar with. I used to use it a lot for broadcasting and things like that. I didn't use it in the same way they're using it because Wirecast is actually a kind of, it can be it's not only like a live stream program, it's also a switcher. It can take in multiple inputs. It can take in like streams. You can run like a little remote thing on another computer. So where it streams that computer screen to you. You have different audio sources. You have all this. The whole deal with it though is there are too many points of failure within this program to be using it as a switcher.
Yeah.
You know, in a professional environment, in a super professional environment, you wouldn't use it that way. You would use it as just a streaming app, and you would have a real switcher with production studio cameras and all that. In this case, it was being used for all those inputs, and it was being used as a switcher, and it was being used for all of these different things that cause people to have problems. There's too much to overlook. In other words, there's too many, and using Blackmagic gear is so super sensitive. Like sometimes you'll select an input and nothing comes through, and it was just an absolute cluster. So he calls me up because they're having problems with it. And the guy, initially, this is the word that went through the pipeline, is the guy running it was doing a bad job. And that wasn't necessarily the case. And yet. So this, I'm hired to come in. And they're like, I just need someone there right now to fix it. So here I am. I was still recovering. I hadn't showered. I was wearing Under Armour and crap. I'm sitting here with my bad hair and long beard and the whole thing. And I'm like, man, I got to clean up real fast and drive out there. And it's a long drive. And I get out there. And this first day, they were almost done. It was just for me to assess the situation and figure out, okay, what are we going to do from this point on? And having the experience in doing live stuff and streaming stuff and camera stuff and technical stuff and networking stuff, this is just kind of where I fall because I've just put in the time in front of a lot of this gear. And that's just where I'm at. So I get there, and of course the first thing, I kind of understand this going in. This has happened to me many times now before. You walk into a situation where you're like the fixer of something. You're going to have a lot of animosity toward you because there's going to be people there who are like, oh, you're here to replace me. You're here to correct what I'm doing. Because
I have been that person, and I have also been on the receiving end of that person.
And the problem is, I gotta get past that, and I'm pretty much used to it at this point. Where if you don't like me, that's fine. I have a client who has hired me to do a job, and you can take it up with him because this is what I do. And the thing about going into a situation like this, if you've done anything with hotels, most of them have their own AV departments.
Yes.
And they're always a nightmare to deal with.
Yes.
Always.
No offense to all of our AV hotel listeners, but...
If you're out there and that's what you do, maybe you're really good at it. But there are, for the most part, a lot of people who don't know what they're doing.
I've found it's kind of a place where you start,
Yeah. Of course.
At the hotel AV stuff,
Right. That's just how it is. And the first thing that I had a hard time with was the audio guy. Okay. And I am, a lot of people will tell me that I get quote unquote flustered by certain things, right? And mostly it's not flustered. It's worrying about things, but it's worrying because I'm looking ahead at certain things.
Yeah.
What I don't get flustered in are situations where we have a job to do and we have to get it done, because I become super focused, and I'm not going to let that kind of stuff get to me. I'm not going to get upset about it. I'm going to make whatever needs to happen. And so here is where some of this client stuff comes into play. So the audio guy, for example, he was apparently not sending an actual feed from the house to this guy. And so what the guy did, who is the director using this Wirecast software, is he went in and he used a camera input from the house, from one of their cameras as the audio, which that's not going to sound good.
Yeah, no, it's not going to sound good at all.
And I assessed that, and it's because he wasn't getting a feed from the board correctly. He wasn't getting a feed; it wasn't working. So he said, rather than have nothing, I am going to have something.
And that was the audio guy?
It was the audio guy who wasn't sending him something, but the director who was using Wirecast decided, okay, I could have nothing or I could have something. I'm going to pick something. But then he gets the bad end of the stick because, whatever he's broadcasting sounds terrible. And so then they finally got that working before I got there. And when I get there, I'm getting texts from people who I don't know who they are, emails from people who I don't know who they are. So many people in the chain. I'm like, I don't know if this is the client, if this is my client, if it's their client, the client's client. I have no idea.
Yeah.
And so all these people are talking to me, and I'm trying to sort through all of this. And I'm like, okay, well, first of all, they want more audio because they got it working, but they said the problem is that we don't have the levels that we need.
What?
We don't have the levels that we need going to the stream. Like there's not enough gain.
Okay.
And I'm like, can you boost this for me? And I go to the audio guy. This is a hotel audio guy. This is not my client's hire or anything. This is a house guy this is who you get. And he said, I can't do that. Not while we're live anyway. I'm like, okay, I get that. Well, when they were done, I said, here's what I need you to do. I need you to get me a separate feed that you can control independently to the stream. He's like, I don't know. I'm like, okay, dude, take an output from the headphone jack of the board if you have to, and run it to the stream. And then you have independent volume control on your mixer. I shouldn't know more about your board than you do, but this is where we're at. Oh, I can't do that. Why? Because I don't know. I've never used that before. I don't know if we can. It's a headphone jack, dog. Plug the headphone jack into here and run it into here. Like, it's not rocket science. Like, you should know this kind of stuff, right? And so that's what gets to me in situations like this, where I come in and I know more about something that I don't know than the person who is supposed to do that every single day.
Yeah.
The same thing applies to network. We had network problems because when you go into a hotel and you're trying to get network access, it's going to be a crapshoot.
Yeah.
And they're giving us codes. They're giving us codes to use. And if you use a different code in your internet browser to log into their system at the beginning of the day, then you're both on two different subnets. You can't talk to each other, the whole thing. Well, they don't know how to log one out without calling the West End technical support in God knows what city and having them, it won't release your IP address. I'm like, I don't know why I'm having to be the one. I'm talking to their IT. Why do I have to be the one trying to figure this out?
Yeah.
But you guys should be able to get us on the same network so these two can talk to each other. And the client has a VPN, and that's not helping because they don't have admin control. They can't turn off the VPN. I'm getting an IP address of their thing going back to corporate headquarters. It's a giant mess like that. Same thing happens again with the board, where I'm like, okay, I need to get auxiliary outputs because here was the kicker. They wanted to do a Skype call to the chairman of the board. And I'm like, there's so much that goes into that. You guys think that it's easy. It is not easy.
Right. Why do you think we haven't done video live broadcast yet?
Right, and it's not just that, it's that, like, if you look on our website, we built an entire streaming rig for somebody because they do a live show, and there's so much more involved when you're trying to do a live show and Skype, because what happens is you get a caller on the other line, and whatever they say comes back into your program.
Yeah.
And from your program, you need all the stuff in the program, the audio and all that kind of stuff, to go back to the person on the other end. So what happens when that person talks and their audio comes into the program and that program feed goes back to them? They start hearing themselves.
Yeah.
So it echoes. So you got to do mix minus. You have to have a board that has an auxiliary, like separate auxiliaries, so that you can route everything except for that person back into their ears. Because when you're talking, and
when you're talking and you hear yourself, it's completely distracting, and you almost can't even understand.
That, and
you can't talk.
Well, you can't talk if the delay is fast enough. If you have a short enough delay, it'll actually make your speech weird. You start talking like this. I don't know if you've tried that before, but there's actually a program that will do that. An echo is one thing, but if you have like a point, I don't know, 3 millisecond
I think they've actually
delay,
built weapons like this, where it'll shoot your exact same thing back at you, so you actually can't talk.
Right. And I've had this experience before by accident, where I was trying to record a voiceover with somebody, and everything they were reading when they were practicing sounded awesome. And then I turned on the headphones and I turned it on, and for some reason the monitor feedback within their headphones was enough of a delay where they started talking like that. I'm like, why is he doing that? And then we realized that it was his headphones that were the problem. So we get the whole Skype thing under control, which was a huge situation, because the client was trying to tell me, no, well, we haven't done it like that before. We don't need to have that mix minus. I'm like, trust me, you do. How else are they going to hear it? Well, we'll use the microphone on the laptop. I'm like, you're going to hear ambient noise. The person on the other line will not understand. Luckily, we got that going. The next day went without a hitch. The next day was great. We got everything running. I said, I explained. There were many, many other problems, and I said, it's all house stuff. I said, the guy here is trying to do the best that he can running this board, but I need him to keep running this board. He needs to stay where he is. So everything's fine. Like, this is a recoverable thing. Like, I can recover this for my client, and, our client and the client's client, everything's going to be happy. Unfortunately, what happened the next day was a very stressful situation. Now, I got to say the one thing, the guy,
So first off,
that was running
the guy does a good job. The
guy does a good job.
The guy who everyone is complaining, this guy's screwing everything up, blah, blah, blah. It's not actually his fault.
Right.
It is not actually his fault.
Right.
So then the next day...
Well, and my client's out of town. This is I've never met the guy in person, and that's the whole reason why it's even worse. He's not there. And he's working for somebody else who's working for somebody else, and so on and so on. And so the next day, this guy had been up all night because they wanted the footage right away. So, like, there was a FedEx version, there was a upload version.
Like he was capturing all this footage as well?
Yeah, the cameras, here's the thing, the cameras were not like studio cameras, like not that you would have in a regular package on any shows that I work on. And the thing is, I couldn't correct a lot of the stuff because it was showtime. Like, a lot of this stuff would have had to have been corrected in the month prior to lead up, and some of it couldn't have been corrected because it's a budget thing. Like what I'm looking at, I'm like, they have no budget for this stuff. So they're running like those little Sony DSLR X7s or whatever they're called.
DSLRs,
XL7,
really?
Yeah, and they're running HDMI out to these switchers. It's really bad. It's not what you would use in the situation on the live stuff I do, which is on a bigger scale, which we're talking like 30,000 people, not like 300 people. And so they're recording locally and all of that onto the cameras. and then the stream's
Oh,
going out, and they're
gosh.
recording the stream. And the stream is the only thing that has the good audio.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to take that audio from the stream version
Oh,
and
that's
line it
awful.
up. It's just a complete mess.
Which there's a new version of Pluralize out, by the way. Did you know that?
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think. Is it Red Giant that does Pluralize?
I don't know, but I don't use it anymore because Premiere does it automatically now. So
Yeah, Pluralize 4, I believe. They just announced, or they just released it, 4.1. Yeah.
So the
Sorry, go ahead.
thing about this is that he was up trying to get that footage. It was a crap load of footage. One of them was running one of those, I forget what you call them, Shogun, external recorders that records to ProRes. So just like
a Key Pro or something?
Yeah, like a ridiculous, the other ones were recording MPEG-4 and this was recording ProRes. So these files were like 400
gigantic.
gig. And so he was up doing that. So he's not responding the next morning to the client's calls and such. And the client calls me up. He's like, I can't get a hold of him. I'm like, well, it should be fine. I mean, I'll switch or something instead. It doesn't matter. We'll take care of it. And he's like, well, you take the computer with him. Streaming computer? Yeah, the streaming computer. Well, do you have another computer you could use for streaming? I'm like, I would have to install Wirecast, get your serials, all the inputs and drivers for all the Blackmagic stuff. The show will be over by the time I'm up and ready to go. I don't have something like that ready to go. And so, long story short, the client got a hold of the dude's dad at his job, got him to knock on the door.
Not at his job, at the dad's job.
Yes, so he could knock on the door and get the guy.
So the dad could then go to the kid's house.
Yes.
Knock on his door.
And then he's
and
an
wake him
hour
up.
away. He lives where you do. He lives in your city.
Yeah.
And so once he got a hold of him, he was coming with the streaming computer. And we were supposed to do the stream tests like 45 minutes prior. And at this point, they're like, why can't we do the test? I'm like, because the guy's not here. And he has the streaming computer. Okay, well, let us know when. What's the ETA? I'm like, well, he said 8:20. They're like, well, the show starts at 8:30. I'm like, I know. Well, keep us updated because that's not a lot of time. I know. Like, there's nothing that I can do.
Yeah.
There is nothing I can do.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting there, and there's a lot more to the story. I won't get into it. But when he got there, we start hooking things up, and then these stupid Blackmagic things are not responding. I'm not getting inputs. He's not getting inputs. He's frantically trying to get things working. And this woman comes up, and she's the client. They had pushed the time already to 8:45. We're not going to hit that time either because these inputs aren't working, and he's frantically trying to get it to work, and I'm trying to help him. And this woman who I had never met until this point comes up behind me, and she's like, starts berating him. It is unacceptable to not show up on time, blah, 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 and starts going off on him and says, I'm just letting you know Dan is going to be hearing about this. And I'm like, I have no idea who Dan is. But right now, we're trying to concentrate on getting this working for you, which we are going to do.
Yeah, seriously.
But we will have this conversation later.
You're right about that. You're totally right about that. When it comes to business and getting going time or whatever, you don't need someone berating you and telling you. It's just going to make someone more nervous and not care about their job, or even just walk off the set. You know? When
do you not think I understand
I used
the
to
situation?
do this. I was awful at it. But, back in high school, we had... we had our morning announcements and stuff like that, and everyone would be a different director and blah, blah, blah. And, every time I directed, people hated when I directed because I was so mean and I yelled at everyone. And it's just like, I made a girl cry one time. I felt bad about it now.
Now.
Yeah,
I felt bad about it 10 years later.
But, I don't know. Yeah. Showtime is not the time to be yelling and screaming at someone because it's just going to make the whole situation worse.
It's
if anything,
awful.
Just be professional.
Yes.
Help them get it done, and then
it's in a situation like that. I understand. My client that hired me at that point understands. he's doing everything he can.
Yeah.
He can't fix this because he understood the guy was late, and I feel bad about it, and it sucks. But man, I mean,
and it sucks because like that guy was getting the whole crap end of the stick the day before, even though it technically wasn't his fault.
Right.
Now it just made it all his fault.
Right. And for the client, it made this relationship between them and the top client unrecoverable.
Yeah, totally.
Completely unrecoverable.
Yeah.
And there's nothing I could do to fix it at that point. And I was talking to my contact there with the top client at the end. I'm like, man, I wish there was more I could have done for you here. I was just as upset as you were, I'm sure. 300 people sitting here waiting, and all these people in all these different streaming areas and this and that. And I started talking about, our client who I'm working for, and I'm like, I tried to step in and do this, I've never even met him in person. He's like, really? You mean Dan? I'm like, no, not Dan. I don't know who Dan is. Who's Dan? And he's like, I don't know who client's name is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really? You don't know who that is? They didn't even realize that dude had hired somebody else who had hired me. None of these people knew. Even the contractors I was working with didn't know that I had just met the client on the phone for the first time the other day. And so it's cool that...
It's super cool that your name was on that list of people who
can
call,
save something. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
And the problem is that there was no way at that point that I could save. I mean, it would have been worse if I wouldn't have shown up. I'll tell you that Skype call wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
And it went out, and there were still problems. It went on without a hitch. I had to use the beta browser version. I mean, it was awful trying to get it going, but I got it working because I'm used to that pressure in that situation and not losing my cool and not getting all flustered and worrying about these other things. I even had, and the other problem that we had with the house was that the audio guy again, right? Going through another auxiliary. I was like, we have to record something later, and we do have to send a feed from the board to one of these cameras. So what I'm going to need to do is run from an auxiliary to the camera just so it can get a feed. He's like, I don't know if we can do that. I'm like, why?
I've never done that before.
He's like, the answer was because we might get a feedback loop. I think we've gotten feedback loop from doing that before. I'm like, you're running, dude, you're running from the board to a camera that is sitting out there by itself into an input on the camera. Now, please tell me how you will get a feedback loop from going one way out.
Yeah.
I don't have to explain. Like, I am not an audio guy, bro. But come on, let's have a little common sense here. And then he does it, and I'm like, you have to mute all the other auxiliary outputs. You got to do this, mute this auxiliary output while we run this test from this lav to the feed. He's like, okay. He doesn't do it. He gets on the thing, and we run the test, and they hear the test over the stream at a break. And then he proceeds to walk away with the lav and start joking and cussing with some friends on the side. And it's all going to the stream.
Have you seen that? Oh.
Yes. And then at the icing on the cake was because we had pushed the show to 8:45, and then because of the camera problem didn't start to 5 till 9, they assumed that there was 10 minutes of the stream missing.
Yeah.
And were calling me after the show telling me there's, like, how do you know there's 10 minutes of the stream missing? You weren't there.
Yeah.
You don't even know. It's just because we started late. You got it all. We didn't start streaming until we had everything working.
Yeah.
So that doesn't even make any sense. But just to be in that situation where you are completely helpless.
Yeah.
There is nothing you can do. And I mean, I think I did a really good job of just putting that separation between me and the issue and saying, I personally am doing everything that I can to make this work in my power. I haven't screwed anything up. I haven't done anything wrong. I'm being professional about this. But there is nothing that I can personally do to make this better at this point.
Yeah.
Besides just, what Dan Benjamin says. The only way out is through. Yeah. And I'm like, I could just walk away right now. But the only way out is through, honestly. I could walk away and piss off the client and not get paid.
Yeah.
and say, screw you guys, you take care of it. But the only way out is through. I'm going to go through this. I'm going to go through the motions. I'm going to do the best I can. At the end of the day, I'm going to say, here, I did what I could, guys, and here you are. I have 100 million suggestions for the next time you do this, assuming that there is a next time.
Yeah.
Maybe with a different client, probably not this client. But when it comes to client expectations, I guess, man, I hope that indirectly kind of answered the question a little bit.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's a fun experience.
Man, what an experience. So the question again was best way to manage client expectations. Well, there are expectations, and I feel like 99.9% of the time I've lived up to customers' expectations.
Yeah.
And that's like
the
you
biggest
said.
thing, set your expectations beforehand before you start working, and that was your first initial response.
Yeah.
The best thing to do is make sure they are on the same wavelength as far as expectations, as far as examples that you're showing and what it's going to look like and blah blah blah. Or sound like.
That's really the thing. They should know exactly what they're getting into. And if their expectations are super high, like when you read that website, clientsfromhell.net, it seems to me like that's the one thing that is an issue beforehand with some of these client relationships is the expectations aren't set from the beginning. So I'm going to pay you $10. How come this doesn't look like a Hollywood movie?
Right.
And I always going in, like when we did the Poke Rock thing, for example, we had a conversation about this ahead of time. I said, there's certain things we can and can't do in 2 days. Number one, we're not going to make his mouth move to what he's saying, because you're recording the voiceover like 10 minutes before we're going to be done with this entire project. That's one thing. I said, we're going to make this look kind of video game-ish. This isn't going to be, so we talked about that ahead of time. We said he's going to glitch out and it's going to be a crappy track. It's like, here's what we're going to do. I don't want you to think that this is going to be something that it's not going to be in 2 days and for this budget. Yeah.
It's not going to be the Scorpion King version of The Rock. Have you seen that?
And
tell me you've seen that.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's not going to be I know even like as far as the character, it's pretty low poly. I'm like, it's not going to look exactly like him, like to a T. I was like, here's what we can do this time. And they understood, and they were super happy with the product in the end. Yeah. Because we set that expectation.
Yeah, totally.
Now, the other Twitter question that we had was from, gosh, how do you pronounce the name?
Gayton D. Simone.
What's that?
Gayton D. Simone.
Is it Gayton? Okay.
I that's what I call him. I'm sorry if I mispronounce it.
It's tough. It's tough being American. We don't know how to pronounce anything.
Yeah.
Check our privilege. And okay, the question is about how to manage a client who has a hard time expressing their artistic vision. We talked a couple weeks ago. Last
make
week.
It more
pow.
Pow.
Yes. That falls into the same category, I think.
It's the hardest thing. Like, and really, like I talked about last week when someone says make it more organic, like I've got a pocket full of, things to make it look more quote unquote organic, more things that I do. But when people are explaining it, and you'll get these people and they suck, they absolutely suck, or they just make more sound effects, it's really hard. Like, I don't know, ask them to explain it more. Like,
it sucks having a client who is like very bad at visualizing an end product. Like, even if you give them a rough, that's pretty good, and they're like, I don't know, I just can't I can't wrap my head around how it's going to look in the end. That sucks. That's but people are like that. People are not.
And it could be like the color, or it could be they don't like the entire thing, or it could be something they want it more organic. It's like how do you get that from make it more
And those are the kind of clients too, where they come back and they think that it's going to be, their changes are going to be so bad, and they make it sound like it's going to be awful. And then they're like, oh, well, just change red to blue. And you're like, oh,
yeah. I know, right?
Fine. That's easy. What are you talking about, man?
It's funny. No. Yeah, I had a client like that, and she was awful. Absolutely awful. Wanted all these things, and just, I need someone going, yay, BA. Well, did you shoot someone going, BA? No, I don't know. Let's go through all 2 hours of footage again.
And what makes, what's really bad, a situation like that, is when you're working for a company where the managers in charge are like that, because that's not just a one-time client thing. That's going to be your life.
That will be your life. Yes.
You will constantly be having that issue. Yes. And so you'll try and mock something up, and they're like, that's not what I had in mind at all. Or, especially the situations where the salesperson is put more into that role.
Oh gosh, don't even get me started on that.
And they can't do that.
Yeah.
we're like
my
the
last
salesperson.
Job, the salesperson was in charge of all the creative. Like, we had a creative director, sure, but the salesperson was the final say on every decision. That's awful, because salespeople, no offense to salespeople, like, you may know your industry, but you're not, I don't know. How do I say it without offending
You're
salespeople?
You're not actively involved in doing the day-to-day.
Right.
When you don't know the software, that's why people like us, let's say you and I, we keep developing our company. We're going to be doing less and less of the actual work.
Yes.
We're going to have employees. It's just...
I'm waiting for that day.
Yeah. Well, right. I mean, I like doing the work. I love doing the work. Yeah. But if you really want to get it going, you have to get people to work for you.
Yeah, totally.
You gotta let go of some of it. And right now, a lot of times we'll use contractors and stuff like that, and we'll be like, yeah, here, thanks, do this, do that. But we understand exactly what they're doing on the other end, and that's what will make us good managers, good bosses.
Yeah.
When you have people within the company that have never touched a piece of software, then that's troublesome, because they don't understand the technology involved to make it happen. So if you own a company like that, you have to make sure that you're delegating correctly so that you're not causing that issue.
And that's one thing about, like, salespeople as well. I've wanted to hire a salesperson for us, but you can't just go out and hire a salesperson. A salesperson isn't just a salesperson. A salesperson is someone who needs to know your industry. That's why I think a lot of salespeople in our industry start out doing our industry.
And there are some industries where that works just fine, where you can go do sales for one place and go do sales for another place. You can be selling cars one day. You can be selling, I don't know, houses, paper, whatever it is. I don't know. Paper. Dunder Mifflin. Funny words are funny. So different industries require a different knowledge base. And
this one is a very extensive knowledge base.
Yeah.
That's why successful salespeople in this industry get paid good money.
So how do you manage those types of people? Let's say it's not a work environment. And this could apply to the work environment if you have time and patience and to work on this situation somehow. But let's say that they're clients and they are having that hard time expressing themselves. The first thing that I do when somebody's having a hard time explaining what they want to me is I say, go online and find examples of what you like.
Yeah.
And send them to me and tell me, what do you like about these things?
Yeah.
Because especially when it comes to...
Be careful, because that could go back to the expectations thing. If they show you something that they like that is outside of their, the initial... what they were expecting.
But that's the point. Yeah. That's the point, is they send you that, and they're like, this is what I want. And you're like, okay, well, you don't have the budget for that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But that's good, because especially for animation style or something, where someone's like, I want that thing where someone's... I want that thing where somebody is writing on a whiteboard.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Can we do some character whiteboard, people walking?
This
is Joe.
I got banned on Facebook from... there's like this site that that does whiteboard stuff, and they're always advertising on my page. And I always see it, and I always make these snooty comments about how whiteboard stuff is awful and just screams I'm trying to sell something to you, and it's so overdone. I can no longer post on their advertisements because I think they blocked me.
But they advertise to you still?
Right. Yeah, it's funny because that's how Facebook works.
Yeah, Facebook is dumb.
But I've had a lot of people send me those as examples, and I'll come back and I'll say, I don't think you want to do that.
Yep. We will do it, but we don't think you want to.
And a lot of times, too, people are explaining stuff that sounds super overly complicated. And then you ask for that sample, and they'll send you something that's super easy.
Yeah, I've got this one client who does work for, or we've got this one client who, it's all like, really simple motion graphics and simple editing and stuff like that for all about this medical stuff. And, every time he talks about it, it seems super, super in-depth, but he always writes out a storyboard, and it always ends up only taking me a couple hours.
Right.
Because it's really easy stuff. I don't know. And he always sends me examples, too.
Yeah, and from being outside of the industry, it's hard to know what the difference is. And I get that. And you have to understand that, too. You have to go in understanding that because let's say, think about a surgeon.
Like a surgeon.
So if you're a surgeon, there's easy surgery and there's super complicated surgery. There's something like, a surgery where you're just removing something from someone's skin or something. You're taking something off. It's not super dangerous.
Right. And then there's the surgery where you're completely replacing someone's skin with lizard skin.
Yes.
Or replacing your lizard skin with actual skin.
Yeah, I know some politicians who've had that done. And so that's kind of, if you think about it that way, I wouldn't know how to do either of those surgeries, and that would be super complicated for me to do either of those going in, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, it's surgery, so this has got to be tough. And you would tell the surgeon, they're like, oh, that's easy. I do those all the time. Yeah. And so that's kind of the same way.
Like an appendectomy or whatever. That seems like it would be, or like lap band or gastric bypass or something like that.
Tonsils and stuff.
Yeah, they seem like they would be really hard to do, but they're
routine.
They are.
They're routine.
Yeah, they are super routine. Yeah, like an appendectomy or whatever only takes like 15 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
They just stick a bunch of holes in you, poke you like a pincushion.
Yeah.
Take it out.
So think about it that way. So. Tutorials. I talked about tutorials. We're still on this week, but we've hit up some questions.
This is the show. This show's title is going to be entitled This Week.
This week.
This week with the bros.
I came across an interesting Trump video.
I got to know this. Hold on, really quick. You got LaCroix written on here.
Yeah.
Why?
Oh,
I've seen your obsession with it. Is there a story behind that?
No, it's my new thing. I just stocked up. I just wanted to say I really like the brand because it's tasty. Everybody's going nuts over this, and I used to drink Perrier, and now I'm moving over to this because they have some amazing flavors, and it tastes so good. I have to check. Like the first time I had one, I had to check to make sure it didn't have like artificial sweetener in it or a little bit of sugar. No, it's got nothing in it.
I've tried this stuff and it's awful.
Oh, it's so much better than any sparkling water you've had. And I'm a sparkling water person. LaCroix? I don't know how to pronounce it. I've never heard anybody pronounce it, so I don't know.
Let's see how the Wikipedia says.
It's so good. I just stocked up, I got apricot today and mango, and they have their pamplemousse or whatever it is. That's their grapefruit flavor, the grapefruit Perrier. LaCree, maybe, I don't know. The grapefruit Perrier is really good. But if you get certain batches, it's like they have a little too much clove in it, but it's still got a different twang. Like when you have the Croix or whatever it's called, like it has a real grapefruit flavor, and I don't know how to describe it. They do such a good job with the flavor, and it's a sparkling thing. Christy hates sparkling water. She hates sparkling water. And so we were talking about this today. She's got there was something that was full of chemicals and, fake sugar and all that. She's
That's
like, but
funny.
it's still...
The very first thing I started typing how to pronounce, and it said how to pronounce LaCroix.
That's funny.
LaCroix.
LaCroix.
It rhymes with enjoy.
Okay. I do enjoy LaCroix. So I was telling her, she's like, oh, I don't like sparkling anything. I'm like, well, this has all the sugars and all the extra stuff, but it's still sparkling, so it tastes like crap. I'm like, it's sparkling just means that it has carbonation. Like,
yeah,
Dr. Pepper is sparkling.
I like sparkling Dr. Pepper.
I
don't like sparkling water.
Well, it just depends on how much flavor is put in to cover up the carbon dioxide pump, whatever they put in it.
Nah. There used to be a water called, oh man, what is it? I think it was Nestle or Coke or something like that. Dang it. Never mind. Go on.
So anyway, I don't know. I thought it was good. I stocked up my fridge. I'm ready for Crush It month.
Good.
I'm getting healthy. I've lost 10 pounds. I'm feeling good.
I've gained a lot of weight since last November.
You got to start going to this thing with me.
I am not going with you.
You would love my trainer.
No. No. No.
You would love it.
No, I need to. The thing is, I don't like getting up early.
Early? I go in the afternoon.
Yeah, but I'd spend time with my family.
At 4?
I would rather go at lunch. That is my perfect time to go.
They might have one in your area at that time.
Yeah. So, anyways, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna join the gym again. There's
Gime? What's a gime?
There's a 24-hour fitness over by my new house. And so Costco has these memberships. It's like 3 years for a couple $100. Just buy that. Then I'll go at lunch. Pick up some Panda Express on the way home. Completely to negate my entire
Yeah, I was going to
workout.
say, that doesn't sound right.
No, it sounds amazing.
I've been meal prepping too.
That's awesome.
So
I'm jealous of that.
It's a lot of work, but
I had a garage sale this weekend.
Yeah?
It was awful.
Why?
We were out there, oh gosh, and it's so hot. Texas, it is so hot.
It's bad.
We opened the door at 7:15 and got everything out there at 7:15, you know? And so we've got a ton of clothes, and I got a couple vacuums, and I got a bike, and a couple of, chairs and stuff like that, a whole bunch of stuff. And from 7:15 till 11 is when we ran this thing. We made combined $50.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like garage sales.
And I was sweating so hard. And, it sucks because someone would be like, how much is this shirt? I don't know, $1. And they'd be like, oh, it's too much. I was like, it's $1. It's $1. And the very first person we had come up, we were still setting up. She drove up in a bright red Chevy Camaro, with her fanny pack on.
Oh, geez.
And was digging through all of our clothes that we hadn't pulled out yet.
Oh, it's the worst.
And she spent maybe like $5.
Anybody ask if they could use your bathroom?
No, that's funny though. But so then finally by like, I don't know, 9:30, we had maybe made $12. And so finally we were like, the next people come up, we're going to be like, here's a bag, fill it for $5.
Yeah, there you go.
And we did. We ended up, making, $20 or $30 off of it. But it sucks because we had to pack up all that stuff because it wasn't at my house. It was at my sister-in-law's house. So I had to pack up all the stuff, move it over to my sister-in-law's house in the horrible Texas heat, wake up at 6:30 so that I could get to her house by 7:15 so that we could start this, sit out there in the heat waiting for people to come and then maybe make $30.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. And we have all these clothes sitting in my garage. Like, we have a lot that we've given away. A lot that we're giving to the donation thing that comes around where you call that number.
Yeah.
But we have these other ones. Christy's like, oh, we're going to give it away, or we're going to sell it at the garage sale with our neighbor. And then that weekend something happened and there was no garage sale, so now it's just sitting there. And I'm like, she's like, oh well, we could do a garage sale and make like $100. I'm like,
no,
oh my gosh,
you will not make $100.
And even so, is it worth it?
And here's the thing: I will tell you, if you've got stuff to sell, clothes, it doesn't matter. Just give them away. Give them away. If you've got like electronics or vacuums or something, put them up on Craigslist or something like that. Someone may buy them. Or 5
I've even tried that, and the thing is, they're not worth their weight in the metal. You just put them by the curb.
Yeah.
Somebody will take them.
Yeah,
It's not worth the $5 you're gonna get.
Yeah,
to put it online.
And here's the thing: like once we got all done and we realized that we maybe only made $50. We had to load everything back up into the truck, and then we just drove it over to the Salvation Army and dumped it.
Right. Right.
It's like, so, and it sucks because we're moving right now. So we're selling our house. That's a whole debacle. We're selling our house, so we're packing up everything, and I was looking forward to this weekend so that we could, because this is our last weekend before the movers come, and we already, we already have the house that we're moving into, so that's good. So we can actually move stuff. It's not all in one day,
right?
But we, what was I saying? I totally forgot my train of thought.
Do you have old electronics and junk too?
Yes. Yeah. So we're packing up everything, and like I found a laptop that an old laptop that doesn't have anything. I found an old iMac. My old MacBook Pro, like my 15-inch Intel Dual 2 or something, and then I had like just a regular desktop PC, and so it's like, okay, so I'm not gonna take these to wherever, so I took all the hard drives out of them, so at least I've got that, and so that I can go back on them, and we actually found a ton of pictures that we didn't have saved, on one of the hard drives, which was awesome. It was cool going through that. But then I'm like, okay, well, I think Best Buy does this. They'll take our stuff. So I go to Best Buy, and I'm like, hey, do you guys do electronics? They're like, yeah, but if it has a monitor, it's going to cost you $10 to recycle it.
Oh, because of the
I don't know,
the lead in it or whatever.
I guess, but it's like, wait, it's going to cost me money to recycle these electronics to you that you're just going to turn around and recycle for money yourself?
Throw it in the trash for free.
I said, so what's saving me from just going out back and throwing it in your dumpster? I don't know. So it's like, it's so stupid.
And nobody said it had to be logical.
Right. I'm literally going to throw this stuff away in my trash because it's going to cost me more money to recycle it.
Isn't that ridiculous?
It is ridiculous.
Well, that's why I put it down in the street. And somebody came by a long time ago when I was first doing this, and it's random. It turns out she lives in the neighborhood, but she collects scrap metal. Her husband has like a good full-time job and all that, and she didn't have any job, and she was bored, and she decided, okay, I'm gonna take a pickup truck. So literally, I don't even want money for it. Like I tried to take stuff in bulk to a pawn shop before, they wouldn't take it.
Yeah.
I tried to go to a computer, one of those old, like, what do you call them? Like the kind of like the electronics warehouse places, like where you can get like old gear and stuff, for like $5 and this and that. And they even have like an area called the computer museum. And I'm like, look, here's this really old vintage something or other. I don't want it.
Yeah.
Like nobody will take the stuff from me.
Yeah.
Nobody will buy it. Nobody will take it for free. I said, let me give it to you. No.
Yeah.
So it goes. It's only worth its weight in metal, and unless you want to go scrap it yourself.
Have you seen? I saw a documentary or a YouTube video or something about these people who will take. It's in another country, like I don't know, India or something like that. I don't know if it's India. I'm just gonna say India, and they take all these old electronics and they burn them. Burn them to get all the plastic off, and then take the scrap metal and like the gold and whatever and try and actually like make some money off of it.
It's funny that you say that, because the dude who was running the switcher at that event I was at showed me this.
Yeah.
He said in his spare time, while he's doing stuff on the computer or waiting for a render, because he's mostly an editor, I guess, he actually does that, where you get old memory cards and stuff, and you can go through this chemical process and like burn it off. He pulled out of his pocket this little thing. It was maybe the size of a penny, but it was thicker, and it was just a pure piece of gold.
Really?
And he said, I've just been melting this stuff down, and I have this little nug, and this is 1 gram or whatever it is. And I look at, or no, not
1
1
ounce.
gram, 1 ounce, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I looked.
You know how much an ounce of gold is worth right now?
Yeah, $900 and something dollars.
Yeah.
I was like, so this little thing is worth $900? He's like, yeah, I just it's like a process. You let it sit for like a week in something, and it like separates. And
gosh.
But that's all you can do with it. And I'm not going to sit there and put my old electronics down. I've got old dual G4s. I've got old Mac laptops. It is all worth nothing.
Yeah.
It is worth 0.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can do with it.
You get nothing. 0.
Good day, sir. Anyway, okay, video thing. Somebody posted this video. It's somebody that we work with on a regular basis, and it's a Trump video.
Yes.
About Donald Trump.
You'll probably see this Trump video going around. It says, Trump could win if this thing goes viral.
Right. If everybody watches this video or whatever it is.
It's total BS. Like,
well, it's not
listen
about
to the music you're being manipulated, people.
Well, I don't even. It's not about the content of the video.
I absolutely hate politics. I absolutely.
Right.
I have.
So we're not going to talk about the
No,
politics.
no, I am saying I hate voting. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to say I hate this voting process.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I am being manipulated in every single way, you know, through the media, through Facebook posts, through whatever. Everyone is trying to manipulate me into voting for the wrong person. There's too much pressure that comes with voting.
So this video, in other words. Okay, so here's what
I'm voting for Mickey Mouse.
Here's what I don't understand, because I watched this video because I am, unlike some people, trying to be an objective person. I will watch this thing on this side. I will watch this thing on this side. I'm going to watch it all. I'm not going to be like, oh, I don't like him because I'm a Democrat. Oh, I don't like her because I'm a Republican. I try to be objective about it. So I sat there and I watched this video. Okay, what are you trying to show me here? I'm going to make my own decision instead of making a decision off of somebody else's Facebook rant. And so I'm watching the thing, and in the middle of it, there are these flash frames. And I looked and I'm like, what is that? And I go back and I try and pause. I'm like, is that 2 dudes kissing? And so there's this Trump video out there, and it has this kissing, and I pause it and I start putting comments. Nobody has talked about this.
Yeah.
Because this is a pro-Trump video, but it has these flash frames in it. And I'm trying to understand
At what
the
time
meaning.
is the flash frames?
It's at 12:39.
Okay.
Go to 12:39.
So if you see this video, go to 12 minutes, 39 seconds, and you'll see these weird, it looks like weird glitches, right?
Little flash glitches. And so another YouTube commenter actually figured it out. They said, oh, you know what that is? That's Miley Cyrus with a shaved head licking herself in the mirror. So it looks like 2 dudes kissing.
Is that true?
And it is. They found the picture. Oh, I'm like, okay, it's Miley Cyrus. So can somebody tell me why that's in there? And the funny thing, though, is because it's somebody we work with who does editing. And I said, well, the only reason I noticed this is because I'm an editor and I can see those frame flashes. Nobody else is picking up on this.
Yeah. That's the thing with like our generation online video and stuff like that. We're so used to pixelation and compression and blah, blah, blah. We totally look past all that stuff.
Yeah, we don't see it at all.
I watched the Numa video tonight and I was like, why is this so pixelated? I don't remember, like when I think of Numa, I think of it as crystal clear from way back in the day. And actually it was probably pixelated the whole time.
Yeah, it's not HD. It's probably 240p or something. Original YouTube. I just thought that was interesting to throw in and thought that was kind of video related because of that. But, oh, okay. So let's talk about half res.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. We're going to be there.
We're going to be there. I know
nothing about what is going on there. It's sure to be a hoot.
And David's coming now.
David is coming. Yeah. So we'll have 3 of the bros there.
We won't have time to do like a podcast or anything, but we'll definitely take video. Man.
We could do a podcast in the morning.
I'm going to have to leave for Philly. There's not
No, I'm talking about the morning we get there.
Yeah, but we get there. I don't want to.
Fine.
We can just wrap up because we want to enjoy ourselves while we're there. I don't want to have to worry
I don't
about
want
it.
to work.
I don't want to worry about it.
Keep
But
working.
so we're talking to EJ now.
Yeah.
As well. So it's
Yeah.
going to be us and EJ and David. We're going to get an Airbnb together. So it's going to be off the Chizane.
Totally.
Off
the chizzy.
off the Chizzy for Shizzy. So we're going to have some definite shenanigans.
I'm hoping so.
I'm hoping so. So if we get a good enough pad, you never know. We might end up being the party pad.
Yeah.
The after party pad.
What time do the bars close in Chicago?
Probably 2.
Yeah.
I mean, most places are 2.
Yeah, not New York. New York, it's like 4,
Well,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah,
what
I don't know.
time do bars close?
So half res, totally looking
in
forward to that. There's going to be so
Chicago.
many people. So we've got some listeners who are going. There's some other people who are going to be there.
Chicago bars open till 4 or later.
Oh man.
Chicago 4.
Now I know you want to go to some museums. when we
Yeah,
get
we're
in.
totally going to some
But
museums.
EJ's like, I totally want to hit up some breweries.
You know what? You guys go do that. I'll go hit up the museums.
Or maybe we could go to a museum and then a brewery.
Why don't you
together.
just go buy some beer and then walk around in the museums with the beer?
With the it's not the same.
Yeah.
It's not the same. So looking forward to that now. It's going to be quick, but it's going to be a blast.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah. And you're working on a plugin now.
Yeah. Well, EJ, we had talked about this, you and me, and then EJ sent us an email the other day, or we've been chatting on Twitter, and, it seems like a lot of people are liking the Spotlight for Luminous, And, I actually searched for Gobo Spotlight C4D, and you know what comes up? Your tutorial.
Oh, that's funny.
Like, that's one of the
funny.
only things that pops up. So I'm like, it's interesting that this isn't like a normal thing in Cinema 4D. And it's actually semi-difficult to pull off, or at
Right.
least, the way you showed it didn't have any fall off. It was just doing the thing. So in order
At least not dynamically.
Right,
It's-
dynamically.
Yeah.
So I've been working on porting, I guess, if that's the correct term, Luminous over to standard renderer C4D. So that we've got the, it's using a standard Cinema 4D Spotlight, and we are doing the ability to add fall off and stuff so that you can get some blurry, shadows and stuff like that. And I think we're going to release it as a Luminous Light. Is that correct?
I think we're going to call it Spotlight. L-I-T-E.
Right, Spotlight, but the whole, are we calling it Luminous just standard, or we're keeping it Luminous, but are we keeping it Luminous Light or something?
I don't know.
Anyway,
I don't even know.
so
we'll figure it
anyway,
out.
we're thinking it's going to include the Spotlight, the Psych,
Psych.
and the Quick Psych and the Quick Sky.
Quick Sky.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be it for this on standard renderer. And it's going to be a little cheaper, than the regular Luminous, because, we're not having to do as much work or whatever.
Yeah.
Because, Octane is missing the Spotlight entirely. So we had to really build that.
Yeah. And you can do you could easily do a Gobo with a Spotlight by just putting something into the alpha channel.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But there's more than that. Because if you want to blur it kind of dynamically on the fly, you can't do that without going into Photoshop. And so this is something you use like trigonometry and all this other stuff.
Yeah. So it's the first time I've ever used trigonometry since I was in college.
Since you took trigonometry.
Yes.
It's fun.
So hopefully I finished up a rough preview, or maybe even a good version of it. This past week, we may send it out to some beta testers.
Yep.
If you're interested in doing a beta test of the standard renderer, if you use the standard renderer a lot, hit us up. And so we'll send you the beta.
Coolio. Yeah.
Yep.
So that should be fun.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll get some input on pricing.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's so hard. It was really hard for me to set a price. It took me a long time of contemplation. To set a price for Luminous, and
I think it's a good price.
Maybe some feedback on pricing too.
I think it's a good price because it adds it's got so much. I will say, Quick Sky by itself, I use all the time. The amount of time that it saves me is awesome.
And it will work in every version of Cinema, but it will kind of work in Light, but there's a limitation.
The Spotlight will work in C4D Lite, which is cool. The Psych will work in C4D Lite, but the Quick Sky will not. Specifically because, in order to use like skies and stuff like that, well, there is no physical sky in C4D Lite.
Or GI.
And there's no GI. Yeah.
That's
so it
the
really
reason.
won't do anything.
Right.
Like, yeah.
So you can buy it and it will work, but you can't do anything that would require GI.
Right. So if you're just a Cinema 4D Lite user, and only using After Effects and Cinema 4D Lite, and you kind of want the Spotlight, Gobo, action, and a Psych Wall, that will be included. That will be useful in the C4D Lite.
We might be able to do a separate Lite version.
Yeah, maybe.
And just pull out the Sky, I guess, for cheaper. We could do that.
Yeah,
so,
I don't know.
So that's coming. So
that's coming, hopefully in the next few weeks or something. Someone had a question about R18, whether Luminous was going to be compatible with R18, and the answer is we don't know yet, but it should.
Yeah, this is Ronald who was saying Luminous is a good time saver. And yeah, like you said, we just don't know. We don't know.
We don't have it.
Yeah.
So as soon as R18 comes out, we're going to purchase it the day of, because we're awesome like that. And then we'll make sure that everything works. And, if anyone runs into problems when it comes out, let us know and we'll get those fixed.
Right.
And we just had an update.
I don't see it being any different.
Yeah. And we just had an update. If you guys should have gotten the email if you have purchased it. And so we fixed that little psych issue that people were talking about. And hopefully some of the other issues. Yeah,
the Windows thing, all I did on that, we couldn't recreate this issue. It was only some people who had Windows 10 would have this issue, and it shouldn't have been doing this.
Yeah.
But what it was doing is you would add the Quick Sky or the Psych, and then it would immediately disappear.
Yeah.
As if it was on some sort of layer. So we moved the layered stuff to within, so there's no like hidden layers on the null that is the plugin itself. Hoping that works. I'm waiting. I meant to actually. I know Josh Foster is one of the people who had the issue, and there was somebody else too. I have a note. I meant to email them and see, find out if yes or no that actually fixed it. So if you're listening, let us know.
Yeah, and if you haven't gotten that email, which you should have. Check your spam or something like that. There's a new version out there for you to download.
And Ronald also asked, so for future implementation, he would like a rotation slider that takes the sun up and down in 90 degrees in addition to the time of day settings, and maybe possibility to lock the position of daylight sun to an HDR sky, so changing the north offset rotates the HDR sky simultaneously. Thanks, that's and keep up the good work, bros. So that's on the list. I have that on my list of possibilities for future upgrades. And by the way, I wanted to mention emails too. We really want, we have our ups and downs in the email train. Would really like to get some more emails, brograph@brograph.com. Questions, comments, whatever it is. Nothing is too small, too complicated. We love getting topic ideas because we have to fill a lot of time every week.
We don't have to. We choose
we try to. We choose to. It's all for you. But if you're coming up with ideas on the reg, it sometimes it's kind of hard to do. If you have a busy week and you don't have time to think about stuff like that,
then we spend half the podcast talking about our week.
Yeah, exactly. So speaking of ideas, this is a new idea
that you came up with, right?
I came up with. And having done lots of podcasts in the past that have done this, I thought we could do a quiz.
Okay.
And people at home can play along and see how many of these you get.
Okay, cool.
Or don't
Dave,
get.
Dave is going to insert some cool quiz theme song right here.
No. All right. So, do we want to go back and forth, or do you want to do like all my questions, all your questions?
No, let's go back and forth. But you got 10
forth.
questions. I've only got 5.
Do you have a bell?
I do not have a bell.
You need a bell. Okay,
No.
you're just going to have to say ding
Okay.
if I get it right.
Okay.
Or if I get it wrong.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to start.
Okay.
These
are these all Cinema 4D questions?
Yes, and this
Okay.
and yours are After Effects? Are they
No,
all
mine are
After-
Cinema 4D
Or
too.
Cinema 4D, okay.
Yeah.
This is a two-parter.
Okay.
In Octane,
Oh god.
what is the IOR of a perfect mirror?
1? Yeah.
All right. And part 2,
Uh-huh.
what is the IOR of a material with virtually no reflectivity?
0.001?
Close enough. I'll give
Okay.
it to you.
What
Point-
is the default IOR?
Ooh, is that one of my questions?
No, but that's that's what I'm asking
I'm
you.
going to say 1.3.
I believe so. Ding.
Okay. All right. All right,
I
now
got
to your
no.
question.
Okay. What is the keyboard shortcut when sculpting to change the
Ooh, I'm not gonna get that.
pressure setting?
Command Option P.
Command Option. No.
Dang.
No.
What is it?
It's cool. This is something that we learned about at NAB, right?
All right. Okay.
Shift, Command, and then you click the mouse and you move up and down
Ah, okay.
for the pressure.
That makes sense.
Okay, so what's
Pressure.
the keyboard shortcut for changing your radius of your brush? in
Would you just
sculpting?
do right and left?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Ding. Shift Command. And this one's cool. This is so cool, especially when sculpting, changing your pressure and your radius. Shift Command. It's probably Shift Control.
Cool.
on
Right, on the PC.
Shift Command, mouse click, left and right for radius, up and down for pressure. I think that's cool.
Pressure.
Looking down on me.
Okay, you got to give me 2. You only have 5, right? I have 10.
Yeah.
So you got to give
Yeah.
me 2 every time. No, wait. I got to
No,
give
you
you
gotta
2.
give me 2 every
What am I
time.
talking about? Okay, so I'm going to have to catch up here. Okay, what is the default focal length of a Cinema 4D camera?
Oh gosh, I don't know, like 36. I'm
All
amazing.
right. Now I'm going to do 2,
Doyle
and then we'll
rules.
go back to yours again.
All right.
All right. What is the default Phong angle in Cinema 4D?
Oh gosh,
How many degrees?
is it? 80 degrees?
All right. What do the UV and W represent in UVW mapping? Not what do they stand for, but what
Oh.
do they represent?
Represent XYZ space, right? Yeah.
Correct.
What do they stand for?
You know, I actually looked that up, and I
Uh-huh.
don't know that there actually is. Now one theory that a couple people have said that they have heard before is that UV and W come before X, Y, and Z. But I have not been able. I looked online. I searched. It didn't actually say what it meant. They all say it corresponds with X and Y, but they don't say it means
unloaded
anything.
vehicle weight.
Right. I found that one too. All right, it's your turn.
Okay. What is the default angle degree on just a spline that you create?
The default angle.
Yeah, degree.
You have to be more specific.
If you say you grab the pen tool and you start
Okay.
creating like a Bezier spline or something, what's the default angle degree?
All right, to be specific. Okay, if I draw one and then I draw another.
Okay, no, say you draw a spline, right?
Yeah.
You draw a spline. There's a degree angle on that. And if you lower it, then it'll make it much smoother.
Interesting.
What's the default one?
I still don't quite know that I'm understanding what you're saying.
Okay, let's see. Let me go into my
Are you saying from like one to the other? Like if I do one line and then I draw another line?
No, it's in your object, right? So you got
Okay.
object properties. You've got the angle, which is the degree.
Mhm.
So but this is only on adaptive and the intermediate points.
I either want to say it's 45 or 90.
No.
No, what is it?
5 degrees.
5 degrees?
Yeah, and then you can change it down to 0 and it makes it super smooth.
I'm going to have to look. I don't think I'm understanding. Okay, I don't think I'm
you're not
understanding.
understanding.
I'm not understanding what you're...
Because you're the one who actually taught me that.
No.
Yeah, that you can change it down to 0 and it'll make it smoother.
I don't think I taught you that.
Yes, you did.
No.
Okay.
I don't think you did. I don't think I did.
You did, because it was like, I had segmentation on like a logo that I was extruding, or whatever.
Okay. So I know what you're saying now. I totally didn't. I thought you meant like the angle of the handles between them.
No.
Oh, yes, it is 5. And you go down to 0 and it makes it smoother. I know. Oh, jeez. I didn't know what you meant.
Mm-hmm. Come on, Dave.
I thought you meant
Visualize.
like one handle, like one point to the other. What's the default handle angle? Okay.
That would change depending on the Bezier one before it.
The adaptive angle is 5 degrees by default, yes. And you
That's
don't really ever want to go down to 0, because if you extrude something like that, it's going to be a lot of polys.
Yes.
All right. Next, number 5.
Uh-huh.
What does IK stand for?
Inverted kinematic or kinematic or...
Close enough. You got it. All right. How many directions does an OmniLight cast rays?
Every direction.
Specifically...
How many directions?
I'll give you a clue. If you make a spotlight, it's casting in one direction.
Okay.
An Omni would be casting in how many directions?
All directions.
How many
directions?
It's technically all, but
it's
in
I don't know.
The computer itself. How many directions is it calculating? How many spotlights would it take to make an Omni light?
Hold on, let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14? It's 6.
6?
Really?
Which is why you don't want to use Omni lights everywhere, because every time you put an Omni light, it's like putting 6 spotlights out there as far as the computer's calculation is concerned.
Yeah.
So don't put Omnis everywhere.
Yeah.
All right. Was that 2? Yeah, I did 2. It's your turn.
So how many more do you have?
4. So you should have 2 more?
Yeah, but I want to end on mine.
So you go, and then I go, and then you go. Okay. So I'll do 2 more.
Okay.
All right. In rotation, what does HPB stand for?
In rotation.
When rotating an object.
Banking.
What's H?
H is, gosh, it's not horizontal?
Nope.
No. Height?
Nope. Think airplane.
Hue.
What?
Dang it.
If you're talking about an airplane, the direction that a plane is...
I'm not typing anything.
The direction that a plane
Half-price books.
H is heading.
Heading. Right. Heading. Heading position in banking?
No.
Heading.
Pitch.
Right.
And
I knew that stuff like a couple months ago, and then I forgot. David had talked about that at NAB, and so I anyway.
Yeah. And number 8, what is the purpose of viewport texture preview size?
What is the purpose of
the purpose of having a variable preview size of a texture in your viewport? Not the preview size of the icon of the texture, but when you go to a texture and you change the preview size in the viewport of the resolution.
Well, I don't know.
Of
so
the
that
preview.
You can see it better?
Specifically, why? Why would it be lower by default?
Because it uses more memory whenever you've got a higher one? Yeah.
Correct. All right, now your turn.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, so I know you'll know this one. So if you're trying to triangulate the distance of a spotlight, like the very bottom of the cone or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
What node would you use in espresso?
What node would you use
Yeah.
in espresso?
Yeah. So you've got the angle of the cone, right?
Uh-huh.
And you understand the distance, the focal distance.
Yeah.
All right. So how would you find out or what the radius or diameter of the bottom of the cone would be? What node would you use?
What node or
what node in espresso would you use in order to calculate that distance? Used it for the first time ever. It's college.
Wait, to calculate to
Yeah.
calculate distance?
Yeah,
you mean a
you could
math node?
Yeah, no, you would think it would be a math node, but it's not actually a math node.
A compare node.
Mm-mm.
A difference node.
Nope.
I don't know.
A trigonometry node.
There is the trigonometry
There is a
node?
trigonometry node.
I had no
It's
idea.
Awesome. So like basically you can put in, because trigonometry is the SOHCAHTOA or whatever. So if you're trying to figure out something like the distance of something, you have all your angles, because a
Right.
spotlight is always a 90-degree angle. You cut it in half or whatever.
Right.
So you take your cone angle, you divide it by 2, and that gives you one angle plus your 90, and then that gives you your third angle because you subtract that from 180, right? So as long as you've got all those and you know your focal distance of that, you can find out either the hypotenuse or the floor or whatever,
Yeah, the hippopotamus.
Hippopotamus, right. Okay.
All right, so I got two more for you now.
All right.
In Octane
Mm-hmm.
and in many other render engines,
Okay.
what does PT and PMC stand for? What do PT and PMC stand for? PT, start with PT. That's the easy one.
Part-time?
No.
Path tracing.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. But you have path tracing and you also have PMC.
Gosh. I
What
don't
does
think
the
I know
PMC stand for?
Path tracing and partial manipulating.
Yeah, you're not on the right track at
No.
all. Path tracing in Monte Carlo
Path tracing Monte Carlo?
and Monte Carlo.
Oh.
Because Monte Carlo is like a specific type of rendering, like Monte Carlo. Like you see that throughout the years, I've seen that in all sorts of different types of software.
Interesting. Okay.
It's a type of
Path tracing in Monte
computation
Cristo.
for rendering and Monte Cristo. Monte
Sounds
Cristo.
good. I could go for one of those right now.
Yeah, but Bennigan's isn't around anymore.
Dude, I went to, when I was in Disneyland on my vacation, we went to the, what's the restaurant? The Blue Bayou.
Mhm.
Have you ever been there?
Mm-mm.
It's the restaurant inside of Pirates of the Caribbean,
Nice.
And they have Monte Cristos, and it was amazing.
The raspberry
their
sauce and the powdered sugar.
Oh, so good.
I guarantee.
All right, I got one. I'm gonna stump you. You
wait.
will never be. Oh, sorry.
You
go
got to
ahead.
do my last one first.
All right.
This is easy. I think you'll get this one.
Okay.
Which Cinema 4D tag prevents an object from being modified?
No, that's the protection tag. Yay! Okay, you will never get this one.
Okay.
No one will ever get this one in the history of time. Are you ready?
Okay.
When is V-Ray for C4D coming out?
The answer to that is never. Never.
Ding!
The new V-Ray for Cinema 4D. Yes. The answer is tomorrow. The answer is
I
always
wish.
tomorrow
Yeah.
for infinity.
Yeah. In a if-then statement, dude.
Yes.
I've been learning Python.
Yeah,
I did like a couple hours of Python tutorials on Code Academy.
that's good.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like not adding, what do you call those? The dot and the comma.
The
Semicolons?
dots, yeah.
Yeah, after each line. It's
Not-
almost like writing English. Instead of actually like adding all these signs and stuff like that or the parentheses, it's just like, let's just write out what we want. It's kind of neat.
Yeah, there's no point in getting a semi.
But there's like crazy nomenclature with like spaces and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's weird.
And equals equals.
Yeah.
Are there
but that's
equals
what
equals in there?
Yeah. Equals.
Yeah. Equals equals means equals,
Yes.
as opposed to equals, which means
exclamation point equals means does not equal.
right.
Right. All right.
I wish I was better at programming.
Dude, I know. I totally wish.
So in our other categories here, we got Intro to Stranger Things. There's a
really I still
cool...
haven't seen it. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it. Maybe I'll have it on while I'm working this week.
You will, and then you'll be like, "Oh my gosh, I have to just watch this."
Yeah.
But you I don't know. You want to watch it with Amy probably. Like it's
no.
Really good.
We got a show right now. We're watching Elementary.
Oh, okay.
It's really good.
I started watching
Elementary
Stranger
is crazy
Things.
cool. It's like, they flip it where it's instead of John Watson, it's Joan Watson, and Moriarty is a woman.
Mind equals blown.
It's Moriarty's played by what's her name from Game of Thrones.
I don't watch Game
the chick
of
with the
Thrones.
smear. With
no idea.
Looks like half her face had a stroke or something.
No idea.
No, come on. All right. Anyway,
I don't watch the show. I don't know.
yeah, but you haven't seen her all over Reddit and Imgur.
No, probably not.
Okay, the only reason I knew her was because of Imgur.
Oh.
The only reason I knew she was on Game of Thrones. Anyways,
I'm
Imgur. Dude, did you see Imgur on the 29th?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It
and
it was a
International
bad
Crap Day.
No, it was let's upvote everything to the front page so the front page is ridiculous. And here's the thing. Like, it was stupid. They didn't even do it, Sorry, all you Imgur people. I'm an Imgur right or Imgiraffe or whatever it is, and what was on the front page was not representative of what is normally in user sub. User sub is sometimes really awesome and sometimes really horrible and sometimes just stupid, just stupid pictures. But what everyone upvoted was just the weird crap, It's like, oh, does front page want this? Brr, it's a picture of a dog pooping.
Update this in 4 seconds or Mr. Skeletal
right.
will kill you in your sleep. Yeah, I don't know.
So, and I've never seen so much actual poop in a toilet ever in my life.
Oh my God, it's ridiculous.
It's awful.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
What is wrong with this planet?
Hey, shout out to Kevin Snyder at Fresh Mograph. Thanks for the Twitter feedback. Thanks for the new podcast this week. Had a long drive and appreciate the entertainment. That was really nice. I like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we got some other ones too.
The nice feedback. So enjoy your name being said on the podcast.
Well, and Sage actually said best show ever.
Oh man, I love Sage.
Yeah.
Dude, last week was a good show.
It was really good.
It was so long, and we were
it.
singing the Pokemon theme song, and it was, we were so tired by the end of it.
I know. It was, we were slap happy. So Chad Ashley actually posted this link, and I'm on my second round of watching Stranger Things because now I'm watching it with Christy.
Really?
And so, like, the intro is so awesome, and I keep looking at it thinking I need to do an Octane tutorial on how to make this.
Yeah.
And so that might be in the works. We'll see. But then Chad Ashley posted this link today to an article somebody wrote up about the typography in that intro sequence.
I've
It's
never
just
seen
so
it.
good.
I'll have to watch it.
So good. It's so simple, but it's so good. And just the typography and the throwback to the 1970s typography and 1980s typography, which was a throwback to something else. It's just like, it's perfect. It's just perfect. It was so good.
I'll have to watch it. Okay, that's my goal this week, is to watch Stranger Things.
So good.
I'll
It's
watch
only
the
8
whole thing.
episodes.
Yeah, and they're 45 minutes?
45 to an hour, something like that. Yeah.
Dave, I'm not going to work tomorrow.
And it's something
I'll be on
else.
Skype, but you'll see me going like this the whole time.
Sesame Street.
Yes.
And I wanted to mention this because it's such a big influence in my life.
Have you watched the new Sesame Street lately?
No.
Okay, so
really.
HBO bought Sesame Street.
Right.
Sesame Street's been around forever. And last year, HBO bought Sesame Street, and everyone was really excited and also kind of nervous because, Sesame Street could now do some bigger things. They could have more episodes. They can do whatever, you know? It's like because they've got the money backing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a 3-year-old, so I watch a lot of Sesame Street. And we have HBO, so we're watching every episode the day it comes out, every new episode. And I will tell you, they're on episode like 26 or something, which is twice as many episodes as they used to do.
Yeah.
But they are half the time. And they are...
Oh, they're short?
Yes. They are exactly 30 minutes instead of being like 45 to an hour 15, you know? You used to be able to sit down with your kid and watch Sesame Street and it entertained them for a very long time. And, you know, you'd have all these little in between, you know, the letter of the day would be A. And
they
so
called them commercial breaks.
Right.
They called them commercials.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's actually how Adam Savage from Mythbusters, how his dad made his living was for Sesame Street, doing these little commercial things. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So he'd do a lot of stop motion and stuff like that.
I always wanted to do that for them.
Anyway, I digress. So it's the new show, the new formula or whatever. It's incredibly formulaic every single time. And it's super short. It's 30 minutes instead of a really long episode. They have this introduction. Then they have the new version, super colorful. So colorful. The production quality is so good. You know, it's very, very good because they've got the money in order to do it. But I feel like it's so formulaic and it's kind of boring now, you know? And I think they're trying more for entertainment versus kids actually learning.
Right.
You know,
The
kids
educational
learn
part.
through repetition and through this pulsing, you know, pulsing in marketing is where they'll show a commercial and then show another commercial and then show the exact same commercial again, you know, after it or something. So you're getting this like replaying of information and kind of like being brainwashed, I guess, into knowing what this stuff is.
And that was their original intent.
Yeah.
Because they would even show the same exact cartoon again later in the show as a quote-unquote commercial.
Yeah, yeah. And so you get this, you know, you'd have this little thing. A, apple. A, apple. A, apple. You know, and it's 15, 30 seconds, you know, something like that. And then it goes on to a new segment. They have one of those in every show. Just one.
And
instead of multiple.
I don't know.
This is the formula. Little skit at the beginning. Letter of the day. They announce it. Jump up, get down, come dance with Elmo. Body to the
anything
ABC,
after Elmo,
and then the next one is their commercial, right?
Right.
And then they'll do Cookie Monster. Cookie Monster has his own little thing now where he does this adventures with different cookies. He's got like a fortune cookie and blah, blah, blah. Then they'll do the number of the day. And then Elmo's World, which is a cut up version of the original Elmo's World that was 4:3 and now zoomed into 16:9, you know, and cropped off. And Elmo's World used to be like, it was formulaic, yes, but it was also like, 25 minutes or something.
Yeah.
They cut it down to like 5 or like 3 minutes and cut out most of the original stuff. Because trust me, I've seen every single Elmo's World, and it sucks. Like this whole, it's so formulaic and it's so boring and you don't get the same pulses and like kids, I just don't feel like kids are learning nowadays.
Well, because there was a curriculum originally that they would follow. Like they had a whole lesson plan for all of this and it's just kind of out the window now.
Yeah. It's like, how are kids going to know? And, I really loved back in our day, where it's like, this week's episode is sponsored by the letter A and by the number 13 or something. They don't do that now. It's like, as soon as Elmo's World is over, it's like, you gotta move your body and, that's the end of the show. That's it.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
It's sad.
It is sad.
And they got rid, the other thing is in this article they posted, they're getting rid of the original cast completely.
Yeah.
Completely. All those people who have been on it for 45 years, that's their career.
Yeah.
That's been their life.
Like, Maria, she just retired. She got that Lifetime Achievement Award or whatever. you know, and then I guess all the rest of them they're getting rid of. And they're keeping all the new characters, keeping it fresh, you know.
They kept that
people
one
who
dude.
Can sing. How can you talk about Chris?
Which
I like. Chris.
I don't know Chris. I just know they're keeping the one new dude.
Yeah, Chris. He works at Mr. Hooper's store. There's Chris, Alan, Leela. I love Leela. She's great. She's the Indian lady, you know. Okay. She's awesome. And then you got some other white chick, you know, who is way super animated and really crazy. Like, she's got crazy eyes. She's got Hillary Clinton crazy eyes. So, I don't know. I'm just not happy with the way the new Sesame Street is.
Man. It was just
the production quality. You know, the production quality is amazing. It is so good, and the 3D renderings on all these Cookie Monster stuff are so good and so realistic. And you know, they shot them up on a green screen, and I believe they're using Arnold in order to render it. Because I've done a lot of research into it, and I've looked at the production company that's doing it, and it is so good. But who cares? Because when it comes to Sesame Street, kids don't care about quality. Kids care about content.
Right,
you know?
and what they used to do with the commercial breaks and stuff. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I want to say that like they kind of subcontracted these little things to different companies. Like, this guy is a good animator. He does stop motion. Oh, let's do this thing.
They would do. You know, Adam Savage was saying that his dad would do like 10 of these stop motion things. Yeah, in like the summer, and then that would be his livelihood for the whole year. And then the music too, even the music, the beds that they would put down, and the, you know, they would have different people sing different songs about everybody sleeps, everybody eats, and like everybody poops.
Everybody poops. It was kind of like the combination of all these different contractors and different independent artists. And I don't know if Kirsten Lepore actually made anything for, I know she made something for Yo Gabba Gabba. I don't know. I don't know if she did anything for Sesame Street. But they would have like independent artists, and that's what made it so cool. And anything, I love all the stuff pre-Elmo.
Yeah, Elmo, I've actually heard people talk, or articles written where Elmo was basically the downfall of Sesame Street. Because everything became about Elmo. And Elmo, like with each character, they've all got their same, now this is kind of character development and stuff like that. But, you know, Elmo didn't have a personality to where, like, it would drive certain things. He was just kind of
just there. And he was, you know, you would see other monsters and stuff that you would recognize, but you didn't really know anything. And that's, if you watch the documentary on Elmo and what's his name?
Child Molester McGee.
Yeah. Which that's so sad that all that happened. Yeah. But, it's a real good documentary about the whole thing and how all of that happened. And you know, that's exactly what they explain, is that he was there, he just didn't have a specific voice. Like you might have even seen Elmo with a different voice before that, like kind of in the background. Yeah. And when I was younger, I actually would record, I would take a VHS tape and I would record just the cartoon segments. Because I wanted to just have, I loved the cartoon portions only. I would love to, and then I had a whole video, I actually came across it the other day. I have a whole tape that's just all cartoons of the letters and stuff, and
that's cool.
That's what I share with my daughter. Like we go on and we watch, you know, the typewriter, you know, and all that stuff, and you would see all these, and it was an influence on me, like for artistic reasons, and for you know, learning about, like, I want to be able to draw like that, or I want to be able to animate like that, or like it had a huge impact on me as a kid.
Yeah. You know, I liked some of the newer stuff, like the Bert and Ernie Adventures or whatever. That was really good. It was all claymation and stuff like that. That was fun. And it was weird that they, you know, both get in the same bed and then they go on an adventure together. But whatever.
Yikes.
You know?
That's what that flash frame was, the Trump video. But, you know, that inspired me. You know, even I didn't even realize what it was at the time, but really it inspired me to make cool artistic things.
I really think it probably all came down to HBO, where they're like, we've got all this 4:3 footage and we just need to make it 16:9, so we either drop it or we zoom it in like we do with Elmo's World.
And the new stuff. Guys, we need something new, something fresh. And it's become super corporate and
How about a good
sucks.
update for Pokemon Go? No. Sorry.
Anywho, speaking of the HBO buyouts,
Yeah, totally.
one of our few female listeners, Sarah, she sent us the link to the Variety article about Jon Stewart. Now, I knew that Jon Stewart and Otoy were doing something together.
Yeah.
I didn't realize HBO actually bought a stake in Otoy.
Yeah. I think that just happened recently. I don't know.
Yeah, and so that's going to be interesting because, well, let's hope that HBO doesn't say, "Hey, Otoy, let's get rid of Octane."
Here's the thing, like, HBO is good. I've had it for, I don't know, going on like a year and a half now, and I've really liked it since I got it. I've never had it before. The movies are all crap. There's just a ton of crappy movies.
Well, they just show movies that are already out there.
Right. But really the reason you watch it is for all their original programming and stuff like that.
Which they have an amazing track record for.
They do. Yes, they do. I mean, Sopranos, 6 Feet Under, Silicon Valley, you know, and Curb Your Enthusiasm. There's a lot of really good original programming. So I have full faith that this is going to be good. The Jon Stewart HBO animated cable news parody.
And the whole Otoy part of it, though, it just makes me wonder, like, where that part of it, like, is it going to be Octane? Like,
gotta be, it's got to be like a 3D animated Octane, crazy. Extravaganza. I don't know.
That's crazy, though.
Yeah. So that's cool. That's cool.
Their brand too. You know, you hear that little stinger with the static and all that.
Yeah.
Like kind of this. Boom. It's like you hear that and you're like, this is going to be good. Whatever's coming on is about to be good.
Yep.
And I mean, I don't know. Maybe, hopefully, HBO doesn't start going downhill. We'll see.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think they will. Last season they announced that the next season of Game of Thrones is going to be the last one. Finally, I can start watching it. I don't watch TV in real time.
Right. Well, it's going to be interesting to see what they're doing on all these fronts.
Yeah.
You know what I hate about this Sesame Street thing is that it all started because of the public broadcasting thing. Like that, it's not about like, oh, well, HBO, they have a good reputation or they have more money to throw at it or whatever. It's like PBS is like the original, like, I don't know. It's like the only thing left that is like good television that's there for the well, I mean, there's a lot of garbage on it now, but it's the only original thing that was there for the people.
Yeah.
It's not there to make a buck.
Whether you had cable or not, you can always count on PBS.
Right. PBS is there to be they even talked about this, I think, in a Sesame Street documentary on how one of the original plans with Sesame Street is to be able to have something accessible to inner city children who may not be getting the same education that people in the higher class neighborhoods are getting. Yeah. And that everybody can get to it. It's free. It's out there. Now, all of a sudden, you're taking this thing that was intended for inner city children. Yes. You're putting it on the highest paid tier of cable subscription that you can possibly have that only the rich kids have now.
Yeah.
It just feels like it's defeating the purpose.
Yep.
Well, whatever.
I agree. I mean, the thing is, they've talked about, like, PBS is going to eventually get these episodes as well.
Eventually,
it's just going to be like a year or two later.
Right.
So these inner city kids are just going to be a year or two behind.
But still, the way that they're changing it, I don't think it's the same. I don't think they can. And it was supposed to be about being able to relate to the kids as well. You're in the streets of New York.
Totally.
Totally. And it's just not the same. Hanging out on the stoop, and now they're changing it all. And Oscar
Where's
the Grouch
Murray
is in
on
the recycle
street?
bin.
Yeah. Is he really in a recycle bin?
Yes, he now resides with all the recycle bin, and I think he's still technically in a trash can.
Okay, good.
But like, it's a whole area with recyclables and cardboard.
And they got rid of a ton of characters. Yeah. I have not seen Baby Bear even once, and that's upsetting.
And what about Mr. Hooper?
Did you know Baby Bear's Jewish?
Oh, is he?
Yeah. According to Elmo Christmas,
they lift up his shorts and check, or what do they?
What?
So they lift his pull down his shorts, check, and I could tell? Or
No, him and his dad are playing the dreidel game with Telly, and they're teaching Telly how to play the Telly game.
okay.
And by the way, Telly Monster needs some Prozac or something because that guy is crazy.
He's a mess.
He is so stressed out all the time.
I know, totally. But the stuff what they did with Mr. Hooper, like he died in real life, and so they made him die on the show.
They
wouldn't do that on HBO. I don't think they do that on HBO.
No, they wouldn't. They just come up with a new story.
They're just killing off Game of Thrones characters. They're not
I know.
killing off Sesame Street characters anymore.
Yeah.
Not the good stuff, anyway. All right, so a couple more emails and social and stuff, and we're out of here. I think maybe only one. Darren actually commented and said, I believe I know the answer to this already from the little bit of research that I've done, but I wanted to ask to be sure. What OS X are you running on this build of your Octane monster? You can't upgrade to the current OS unless you change the processor, correct? Is this the standard Power Mac G5 with upgraded graphics card and power? Curious of the specs, because if it really just is the few things you listed, it sounds incredibly easy and cheap, and I'm looking to do this build, but I want a cleaner cable setup, so would love any suggestions or tips. Okay, first of all, no, this is not a G5.
It's not a G5, no.
G5s, they ended production in 05.
Yeah. These are the Intel, machines. Mm-hmm. They're the Intel machines. Mine's a 2009, late 2009.
And you have to do it late 2009 or higher.
Yeah.
If you're
late 2009 or later, because the earlier ones, the 2008s and below, even though they are technically Intel machines, they won't run anything above Snow Leopard, I believe.
Right. And also, you're going to have a lot harder time upgrading them. Mm-hmm. The memory, when you're on those lower machines, is actually way more expensive because it's harder to get now.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things, too. So you got to do, I would almost recommend a 2010 at this point.
Yes.
But the 2009s are still working just fine.
Yeah, I bought mine for $800.
Yeah, totally good price. So no, you're not changing a card or anything like that. I mean, or a chip. That's it's you get it as is. But also the cleaner cord setup. It's kind of hard to see in our pictures, but
my setup's really clean.
It's super clean.
Really, all I have coming off of it is that the new power at the top, Yeah,
and that's it. You can wire it all. You can make it all go through the
back
slots and through the back, and it will look like the picture. But read what we have listed, because we have listed on there a 2009 or higher. So check that out and just make sure that you're doing it right.
Heads up, the 2009s, like these Mac Pros, will not be able to upgrade to the newest OS X, that's coming out.
Now, is that the 2009s, or is that all of these old towers?
All these Mac Pro towers.
So even the 2012.
Even the 2012 will not be able to upgrade. Man. I know, Apple sucks, dude. Apple sucks.
Now, here's the thing. You don't have to have that. It's not the end of the world. You don't have to. OS is an OS. I haven't changed my OS because I don't need to.
Yeah.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, I'm up to date on the newest one, but that's just because I like doing that.
Right.
I like fixing problems that weren't there, and then,
But you can still take this. You can make this a solution that will last you for 5 years.
Yeah, totally.
Guaranteed.
Up until, Octane finally comes out with 3.1, which supposedly it's supposed to be soon.
Yeah.
Soon in Otoy terms.
So that's it. You want to check and see if we have any more iTunes reviews?
Already did. We don't.
Okay. So you can rate us on iTunes, leave a review. It helps us get out there. Pretty soon I'm going to be changing the titles of these episodes to include the name Cinema 4D because we can't have meta tags. We can't have search function that works, apparently.
Oh, hey, and here's a new hashtag for you guys to throw out there. Feel the Bab.
Feel the Bab. Hashtag Feel the Bab. We're going to get that going.
Yeah. Feel the Bab. Is it Feel the Bab 2016 or Feel the Bab 2022?
No, it's just going to be Feel the Bab.
Feel the Bab. Yeah.
That's what it's going to be. This is a private conversation, so I don't think it was on Twitter.
It was on Facebook.
It was on Facebook it was something that EJ posted that we were commenting on about Paul Babb, CEO, president of Maxon.
Yeah. And Barton was in the conversation too.
Oh yeah, from Already Been Chewed.
Yeah.
and just talking about, what a great job he's doing and everything. And so we were all talking about next year we're going to have Feel the Bab T-shirts or signs or something at NAB. Like we're going to totally like play it up because he's, and what Barton was talking about is like how much of an influence that this program has had on his life and his family and everything, and as a CEO, like, you're making all these decisions, it's affecting everybody, and what type of person you are really does affect the company and the community around it and everything. And he does such a great job.
The coolest guy I've ever met.
And definitely the coolest CEO, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So, subscribe to us on iTunes as well, or podcatcher of choice. If you just listen to the audio straight up, on YouTube or something, or off the site, do that just so you can help get our numbers up in that manner as well.
Gotta hit that 1 million just like The Rock.
Yeah, it's really hard for us to gauge. We never know how many people are actually listening because we don't have download numbers, and even those aren't. It's just in general podcasting. It's really hard to gauge. You can subscribe to our YouTube feed as well. We're going to have a lot more coming out pretty soon. We're going to get back into this whole actual tutorial thing. You can say you've been there, done that. Got the T-shirt with the No Brograph, No Mograph T. And we got that other one that maybe we'll do for the winter time. I don't even remember exactly what it was.
It was Track This Bro. Or
Don't Track Me Bro.
Don't Track Me Bro.
Don't Track Me Bro. And you can also subscribe. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, of course, YouTube, and Brograph.com.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I believe everything else is schedule-wise. We're going to be on the same schedule, right, for next week. I don't see anything interfering or anything like that for quite a while. So
we'll be
all Sundays.
So need to find some special guests. Hit up Chad Ashley, see if he wants to be on.
Chad Ashley and hopefully
Barton.
Yes, and Beeple.
One day. We'll hit him up. He's going to be at Half Res. We'll hit him up.
He'll be at Half Res. We'll introduce ourselves.
Yeah.
And, I think once people actually meet us, then they're more prone to actually being on the show because
we're
real people. or they find out we're just b-holes and can't stand us and they say no. But hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
Even though we are b-holes.
We are some b-holes, some bro-holes.
Some brawls.
Brawls. All right. Well, we've jumped the shark. So until next week, I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt.
Have a good one.
Later, bros.
It's pretty good, I guess. Brograph.com, an online resource for learning critical components of Cinema 4D and After Effects, specifically catered to help you prevail as a motion graphic designer.
What's up, bros? Welcome to another Brograph motion graphics tutorial.
We give you professional time-saving tips, shortcuts, and lessons that help give you an edge over your fellow designers. Not only this, but our new Brograph Talks help you in your file management, hardware configuration, and client relations.
I love projects that scare me. When our art director comes to us and asks for something that I had never done before, man, it gets me pumped.
Join us for live sessions, check out our crazy Cinema 4D experiments, or just watch our Fun with Brograph series, where we show you practical applications for techniques learned in previous tutorials. Do this from the beginning, and your client is going to respect that, and they're going to respect you, and they're going to respect your time. Subscribe today and get automatic updates on the latest tutorials, tricks, tips, and inspiration brought to you by industry professionals Dave Koss and Matt Milstead, all with a slight dash of dry humor peppered in. Real nice banana.
Brograph.com, your source for tutorials that will help you thrive in the motion graphics industry. Don't just play around with Cinema 4D and After Effects, master it, and make money by becoming indispensable at your workplace.
We don't care how you get here, folks. Just get here. Subscribe now to Brograph Tutorials. It's pretty good, I guess.